Hey, it's Adam from Iratanongrata, coming to you from my arcade in Utah to play some Atari Jaguar. And so sometimes when people ask me if I play games at work, working in an arcade, I'll often say no because I don't spend a lot of time playing games and have to focus on customers. But it's a slow day, and so I want to get into this. And I know there have been a few people playing Jag games using the Big P EMU that was developed by Rich Whitehouse. But I guess some of the videos out there, people weren't true Jaguar fans, and they don't really give a lot of the games a fair shake. And so I wanted to show one of the best games from the Atari Jaguar's library, which is Wolfenstein 3D by id Software. Now, this was developed by id Software proper, so John Carmack worked on it, as did others who were working at id at the time. And so this wasn't just passed off to some third party like most ports happen to be. And so they did both this and Doom for the Jaguar. Now, could they have gotten better performance out of this? Yeah, sure. Once they really learned the system, I'm sure they could have. Wolf 3D would have been the first game that they developed for it, but still, they showed some really great prowess with this game. It's a technical, I wouldn't say wonder for the Jaguar, but it's almost like a tech demo, but it's actually a fun game too. Because when it comes to raycasting games, I mean, you can compare this to many other versions that are out there, such as also what's on the PC. I remember playing this on the PC as well, and it was not full screen like the Jaguar was, and the Jaguar seemed to run, I don't know exactly what the frame rate is on this, but if it's not 60, it's definitely 30. So it handles the sprites really well, had a good resolution for the time, and this was a great addition for Atari to add to the library back in those days. Do you need more tokens? But when it came to this game, funny enough, this was the game that I got with my Jaguar when I bought one in spring 1997. So yes, I was very late to the party. I had heard about the Jaguar when it came out in '93 or so, but as my friend, his mom tried to get one for him for Christmas, but she couldn't find one anywhere, because I think they were only released in New York and San Francisco at that time, and so she ended up getting him a 3DO, like spending a lot more money than what she would have got if she had just held out, I guess. But that's the first time that I had heard about it, but didn't know anybody that got one until I had a friend in school, in elementary school, who was really, really into Doom, and one day we were talking, and he was like, oh yeah, I have a Jaguar, and he did, and he had Alien vs. Predator, and I think that was the only game he had on it. But growing up as a big Atari fan, I had an Atari 2600 and would play that all the time with my friends who would have one. I decided I was going to get back into Atari, and so I started off with the Jaguar, and eventually built up my collection to have almost every single game released for it, excepting, I think, Syndicate, and one other one, like, I don't think I ever bothered with Bubsy, but built up a pretty decent collection of Jaguar games. And of course, even though I was very late to the party and couldn't help Atari out at all, sorry Sam Tramiel for that, but I was able to help those companies that were getting into the Jaguar, such as Songbird Productions and Telegames and Scatologic, as I did grab all the homebrew games that came out at the time, including Battlesphere and Skyhammer and Worms and Zero 5 and all that stuff, so Iron Soldier 2. So there was a lot of good stuff to be had. on the Jaguar at that time. Now, granted, in retrospect, yeah, I should have also saved up my money and spent some time evangelizing some other modern systems that weren't dead. But I was full into the Jaguar and looking to save it and whatnot, but that just wasn't to be. Now, of course, there was a Jaguar 2 hardware in development, and I'd like to do a video about that one of these days. Atari was working with the same people who designed the Jaguar hardware to create something that was a little more competitive with the PlayStation and the Nintendo 64 and all that. Hey, I got perfect here, nice. And so the Jaguar 2, at least per the paper spec, claimed to be twice as powerful, or 2 to 4 times more powerful than the PlayStation. And it was also capable of doing lighting effects like Phong shading, which I think the Dreamcast could do. Now, whether or not it would have been comparable to the Dreamcast itself, well, we'll never really know. But oftentimes in Jaguar circles, there's arguments, people claiming that, without evidence, that that id was working on Quake for the Jaguar, but that just doesn't make any sense to me because the Jaguar just simply wasn't capable of handling Quake. If they did do it, it would have ran at 5 frames a second or worse. And so just the Jaguar, when it was designed back in 1990 through 92, like from what I've heard, and again I could be wrong about this, but I recall seeing Atari Museum post something stating that the Jaguar spec was finalized in like June or July 1992. And so when the spec was finalized, even though the system wasn't released for over another year from there, it just, they couldn't have made any like super drastic major changes to the spec. Now, of course, one thing that happened after the spec had been finished was that arcades, particularly from Sega, had started to push the boundaries of 3D, particularly Daytona USA, which came out in the summer of 1993, showing off texture-mapped 3D graphics. They couldn't modify the Jaguar at that point. I think it was already starting to get manufactured in the summer of 1993. So they couldn't go back to the drawing board and enhance the GPU and the object processor to be able to better handle things like texture map 3D, or at least handle them better. I mean, yes, the Jaguar can do texture map 3D, as you can see with Hover Strike CD or Iron Soldier 2 or Skyhammer. It's just, since it wasn't made from that, from the ground up, it draws those things very slowly, and so the frame rates generally suffer and you don't have a lot of polygons on it. But overall, it was a great 2D system because that's what it was designed for. You know, it was designed to compete with the likes of the Genesis and the SNES and all that, but not the PlayStation, which of course the PlayStation spec had a lot more money thrown behind it, and it was designed later than the Jaguar was. But yeah, the Jaguar 2 would have likely resolved those issues, but Atari just couldn't hold on long enough. But from a 2D perspective, I mean, this I think is a great example of what it could do, as was Rayman. Rayman being the best example of a platformer on the system. Gotta go through here. It's been a while since I played this, so I can't remember where all the secrets are. So you gotta go along humping all the walls in these games. Find your secrets. But I guess none there. Oh, let's see, where's my map? Oh, I guess I missed something way back there, but I don't really want to go all the way back. Yeah, having this as my packing game was cool. In fact, the day after I bought my Jaguar, I decided to go to a pawn shop, and lo and behold, they had one Jaguar game there. Oh, I'm going back to the beginning. And that one Jaguar game was Cybermorph. So I was able to still enjoy the original intended hacking game on the Jaguar the day after I bought my system. I just had to get it from a pawn shop. Okay, where am I getting lost? Okay, there it is. So I was just turned around a little bit here. That is one fault of these early labyrinth crawler raycasted games, is so easy to get lost. That's where I like the map function. Of course, in Doom, the map function was a little bit buggy, and so oftentimes you would it would slow things down. Or if you use the map function in a network match, I mean, that was one of the coolest features of Jaguar Doom, or Jag Doom as we fans always would call it. Was that you can link two consoles together and play, and I did that multiple times with my friends. It's just network errors, so those sucked, and we learned, do not open the map when you're in a network death match, because it would crash the game more often than not. And same thing with the size of the maps. You wanted to play on small maps, not large ones. The larger the map, the slower, more janky it was. But it's too bad that Wolf 3D here didn't have that network feature, but I don't think it had that in the PC version either. Where'd he go? What I always enjoyed about Wolf 3D, I don't think it's on this level yet, but getting like the chain gun, getting the rocket launcher. Leave those guys there for a second to see if I missed any secrets. But again, this, as far as I'm aware, this is the best version of Wolf 3D that's out there, better than the 3DO version. I don't think it ever came out on the Saturn or the PlayStation, but definitely superior to the original PC version, and so that's impressive for that. So perhaps Atari should have started including this as a pack-in earlier, but of course they wanted to push Cybermorph for a long time. But yeah, what do you think of Wolf 3D on the Atari Jaguar? What do you think of it compared to the other versions? Any other Jaguar games you'd like to see me play, go through and play? Let me know, and I'll see what I can do. Until next time, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next video.